So now we're with the chapter 10, Tupac Inca Yupanque, the 10th Inca, Alexander the Great of the Andes. Well, Tupac Inca Yupanque, as you know, is the son of Pachacutec, and he actually is by now a northern, we could say northern Inca. In other words, the initial empire was mainly concentrated in Cusco, in the southern part, and it took them this far to get to the coast, to get to the south, to get to the north, and as far as Quito, which is today Ecuador. So we enter into this magnificent Inca, whom I call the Alexander the Great of the Andes. With him, the empire began to expand, especially northward, and he conquered from what we call it from volcano to volcano, from the one in Chile, the Aconcagua, to the Chimborazo in Ecuador, approximately 250,000 miles. And it's we could say it's the beginning and the end of the Inca Empire as far as extension, and also is the beginning of the arrival of the Spaniards who were coming to conquer them. So here we're going to start to see some initial historical events in which both of them get to sort of know each other, not having seen each other yet. So they have still a lot of battles with the Quitos, or the Cañaris, the Cayambis. These are people from the north, which are completely different from the people of the Andes or the south of Cusco. So you could say there is a fight for a different type of civilization, because the coast, the north, was different than the south. So there are different people, and some of the Incas, or especially in Acapa, they are born actually in the north, and they prefer to live in the north because of the climate and maybe the welcome nature of the Incas, of the people of the north, and they are different than the ones from the south, and that is perhaps one of the initial steps to the disunion, as we can see as I start to read this chapter to you. Tupac Inca Yupanque, the 10th Inca, Alexander the Great of the Andes. Kuntursoul. I had no idea that my father had problems while I was gone, and why he was so precise in the timing of my expedition. There was hunger and political dissension. In the midst of that calamity, the nobles were hoping for Pachacutec's demise and my death. I have inherited an empire that is not well solidified, and the sands of excursions to the coast are yet to be hardened. I need to assert my influence while Amaro is still alive. The people consider me an outsider for having lived so long in the north, and my son strange for having born in Ecuador. Tupac, my experienced general, go to Chincha and secure the southern coast. Cuismanco, who helped us to defeat the Chimus, feels like he's more powerful than we are because of his great idol. I will march to the sanctuary and try to renew my friendship with him. If he resists, we have to take Pachacamac. Cuismanco, I have come to offer you the better of two worlds. You will be the guardian of Pachacamac under the protection of an all-power Inca army, and allow us to build a temple for the sun and a cloister for our virgins. These two sanctuaries will become a place of pilgrimage for the whole empire. Inca, you speak with wisdom. I also know of your motives behind it. Nevertheless, nothing will please me more than joining our idols without purpose in mind. Tupac Yupanque, I feel that once you bring thousands of Inca people as meeting minds, the coastal inhabitants will change their way of life. Kuntursoul, that is the only way to unify an empire. The runners have informed me that my father is very ill. He wants me in Cusco. Our political victory is going to be a great source of happiness for him, and he will die a triumphant warrior. Tupac found the die of Pachacuti, took it to his numerous illegitimate sons. I know I have distrusted you, because your mothers thought only of making you lords, and leaving you the whole of the empire under the reign of my hair. In a voice that was getting weaker, he addressed his legitimate son. Tupac Yupanque, you who have gone farther than I have, as a unique lord, you must always require absolute obedience, even of your own brothers, for a family is like a scorpion who curves their deadly tails against themselves. You must learn to step on them until the poison of the treason splatters. Pointing his shaky hand at his elder son, he said, Amaro Yupanque, let Tupac go on conquest, and you take care of the administration. His strength waning and his voice barely audible, he kept giving orders as if defying the inevitable. After I die, I want the master jewelers of Chimu to make a golden effigy of me, so that the nobles can commemorate my person. My nails and hair that were saved during my lifetime, place them in an urn and take it to all the nations for the people to adore me. As the Inca was nearing his last moments, I came to his side. O Inca Pachacute, you have aged to your bones, but your greatness will perdure to the last of the ruins of your constructions. Great Lord of the times, what do you have to tell your descendants who are now in the dungeons of our own disgrace? Oh, Kuntursoul, your coming to our times have been a painful experience. I am beginning to question the harshness of my life, for in our final days, we all end up in a solitude full of questions. With you, I have traveled the path of our past and of your present. It saddens me to know what happened to us and what is happened to our descendants. From far beyond of my nothingness, I urge our people to be united and reclaim the greatness of what we were. Otherwise, you will remain in the same precipices that we fell. Remember that the nation is a reflection of its virtues and the follies of its people. It behooves our descendants to change the wrongs we did and honor the good that it was in us. As his evanescing soul was leaving this world, he spoke as if he were singing to himself. Oh, the sun will no longer shine upon me. I was born to be free like the ichu grass on the open field, where not even the chancas could uproot me. But with the years, the petals of my youth fell, the stem of my life dried, and as time ate into my flesh, I became a bitter old man. Finishing singing this verse, he took his last breath to fall the costly pages of our past. Nobles and generals, don't let anyone find out about Pachacutec's death. We must keep vigil while Tupac is in the temple fasting for his reinvestiture. Days later, the new Inca Lord attired in the splendor of his lordship was carried out on his golden litter to the Aucapata Plaza. In the midst of the ceremonies, a runner came and in a disconcerted tone told Tupac of the demise of his father, which was already known to him. Looking at the people, he exclaimed, "Oh no, the great Pachacutec is now at the side of Inti." The newly crowned Inca covered his face with his mantle, grieving for the death of his predecessors. The transfer of power was passed on without an incident. The funeral of his father was celebrated in all the empire. There is so much that can be said about Pachacutec. I just wanted to get to the core of his soul. I hope I have, because deep in my genes I carry the same strands of DNA of what we were. Not an absurd idea for any mestizo who accepts that we are the descendants of the original inhabitants of the American continent. Kuntursoul, my generals are urging me to go on more campaigns. We will go to where the sun rises. Oh Inca, that will bring me fond memories of my youth in the jungles of Peru. Amaro Yupanque, the rainforest people will remain as the same savage if we don't civilize them. Sapa Inca and brother, you should think twice before in turning into the green inferno. Amaro, this excursion will be more about adapting ourselves to the environment than to dominate them. Inca warriors, we're going to Paucartambo, the beginning of the forest. We will divide into 3 factions. How we go north on the Manu River and perhaps find the legendary Paititi, which is said to be a city of gold. Otoron Huachachi, you go farther east. Chalco Yupanqui will go south with the man of the future who knows that region. Tupac, you are going to an unknown area and you will get lost like your predecessors did. Be careful in the jungle where one is closer to death with every step one takes and anything that one touches or eats. Get the best chuncho guys. They are masters of the green desert. Days later, Chalco Chima arrived at a place that is now 15,000 or 15,000. Aremedi was a one-street town, the farthest the trucks could reach after traveling for weeks on muddy roads. Then we flew in a small plane over the deep jungle to the port of Maldonado. Man of the future, you who have been in the impenetrable forest, tell me if the chunchos are still the same savage that they once were. Inca, the rainforest people have been exposed to the cheap advances of civilization. They are no longer the masters of their environment, and they have no land to claim as their own. Navigating down the unknown rivers, Chalco arrived at the present Puerto Maldonado, a small city that is situated in the midst of the jungle. Chalco, it has been some time, and we haven't heard from Tupac. He must be lost in the virgin forest of Manu. Kuntursoul, Otorongo is closely following Tupac every step to help him if he's in trouble. In effect, the Inca was fighting. And here I have a picture of all my travels in Peru. And as you can see, the Amazon River is born in Peru, and goes all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in Brazil or Berlin. I traveled this river about 3 times, so I know all these areas, and I know what must have been the jungle in those days. Oh, Inti, don't let me die in this ungodly green hell. Green hell. Half of my troops are dead from hunger, disease, and the arrows that come from midday obscurity of the thick canopies. Tupac men are fighting their last battle. Luckily, Torongo saved them from the unseen fury of the warriors of the jungles. Sapaica, now you know that these forests are unconquerable. Otorongo, what happened to Chalco and the man of the future? Inca, they must be faring well. They are navigating on known rivers, and they are not confronting the Chunchos. Why aren't they fighting these savages? Kuntursoul is only remembered the rivers of his youth. He seems to have more respect for the inhabitants of the rainforest than the people of the Andes. He may be right. The Chunchos are still savage, and we are no longer Incas but Indians. A runner brought news from the south. Sapa Inca, Huaquiri has named himself the Pachacutec of the Collas, and he's spreading rumors that you are dead. Otorongo must return and form an army in Cusco to quell their insurrection. If you find Chalco, both of you wait for me in Paucartambo, and we will enter the sacred city as victors. The Inca returned to Cusco. Tupac, my brother, I am glad to see you again. We thought that you were all dead. But you are the ghost of what you were. Have our shamans exorcise the evils of the jungle, and our curanderos healers rid your body of the maggots of death. Tupac recuperated on the care of Amaro Yupanque, and he left for the southern region. After months of harrowing battles, the 2 sons of Chucky Capac were apprehended. Coaquiri, you rebelled against me when I was lost in the jungles, and you had the indignity of taking the name of my father for yourself. I will make tambours of your schemes to resound that there is only one Pachacutec, and no one will ever surpass his greatness. The Inca followed the fugitive Collas to the south shores of the Titicaca Lake, creating terror in the altiplanos or high plains. Great Inca Yupanque were already in the region of the Araucans. Michi Malongo and Tangalolo are their ferocious warlords, and no one will ever conquer them. Why not try with my generals? I will return to Paucartambo, where Otorongo and Chalco are waiting for me. After crossing the great desert of Atacama, his generals saw at the distance, the white crest of the Aconcagua at 22,384 feet, the highest volcano of the New World, eventually arriving at the whereabouts of President Santiago de Chile, where he encountered the indomitable Araucanos. Michi Malongo and Tangalolongo, we are the ambassadors of Tupac Inca Yupanque. We bring gifts, and there is much more if you become Incas of privilege. Only the Maule River separates us. Let its waters unite us in peace. Tell your Inca Lord that we will never be anything but Araucanos. Our freedom means more to us than your worthless bribes. Cross to our side if you can. We all have our spikes ready to traverse your bodies. The Incas placed the stone of demarcation on the north side of the river, the limit of the Inca of the Inca Empire to the south. The Araucanos not only detained the Incas, they also held the Spaniards for some time, many of whom died impaled with grease pointed poles that entered through their anus to come out of their mouth.
Nos encontramos con el doctor Carlos Sánchez. Hoy estamos a 23 de abril del año 2018 y estamos viendo un poco sobre el caminar, ¿no?, de Kuntursoul en esta etapa del imperio, ¿no?, en el Inca Tupac Yupanque, ¿no? El Inca Tupac Yupanque era más o menos desde la visión, incluso de muchos historiadores, ¿no?, era como un explorador, ¿no?
Yeah.
Un explorador que sale, ¿no? Incluso algunos dicen que llegó afuera, se fue hasta Oceanía, ¿no?
Yeah.
Inca Tupac Yupanque, su padre Pachacútec prácticamente lo va a formar, ¿no?, como un semidios, ¿no?
Yeah.
Lo va a formar como un semidios. No tiene una infancia normal, ¿no?, sino tiene una infancia totalmente diferente.
Yeah.
Y expande el imperio incluso para el norte, donde incluso en la parte de Ecuador él ya lo tiene como preferido, ¿no? Dice, si me muero, ¿no?
Yeah.
Quiero que mi corazón se quede aquí, en esta parte del norte del imperio, y mi cuerpo se lleve al Cusco. ¿No? Una filosofía que encierra, ¿no?
Yeah.
Entonces, un poquito para conocer la personalidad de este Inca. Y también hablas ahí en el libro sobre la ciudad perdida, ¿no?, la de
Yeah.
oro del Paitití,
Yeah.
¿no? Entonces, sobre eso nos gustaría que nos puedas explicar un poco más, ¿no?, sobre esos dos puntos: personalidad del Inca un poco más,
Yeah.
y sobre el Paitití.
Well, Tupac Inca Yupanque was the son of Pachacútec, and as you well remember, he was raised as a demigod, and Pachacútec was very severe with him. She sent him on very prescribed type of conquest that should take the exact time, either because he was strict or because he knew he was going to die and he wanted to know how far he has gone as an empire. And Tupac Inca Yupanque inherited that way of being a warrior, and plus also being an explorer. And you're right, he was more of an explorer, or trying to go as far as he could. And actually, as we read about him, he's in the process of going to Quito and actually conquers Ecuador. Well, not exist in those days, but that was part of the Andean world. So I think he was like Alexander the Great, a warrior and an expander of the empire. So that's why I compared the both of them. He went as far as he could. And now the important thing here to realize is that Tupac Inca Yupanque is getting pretty much attached to the north, or he's detaching himself from Cusco. Actually, he's already a little longer in the north than in the south. So he, in a way, does not belong anymore to the Panacas or of the south or of Cusco, because as you remember, the Panacas were already full in Cusco, and they were creating a lot of problems, and they will create for the next Inca. So he feels happy up in the north, and even his son, whom we are going to get to next, Huayna Capac, is born in Quito. So he's no longer Cusqueño. They're the beginning of the union and also the division of the Inca Empire that will bring consequences to the destruction of the empire at the time of the arrival of the conquistadores. Again, Professor Cifuentes is intrigued by Titi, although I cursorily mention this mainly perhaps to attract to the readers of this episode. And I don't know if they knew that, but they sound like, they were always looking for gold, for a civilization to conquer or people to conquer. So maybe the idea of the Paititi, which means a city of gold, was supposed to be a city all even, full of gold, and everybody wanted to get to that place. So much so that to the present, the jungles of Brazil, which is where the Paititi is supposed to be up north Brazil, is still much in the imagination of many movie makers and writers. As a reason, we have a book written, the City of Z, the City of Z, which was written by I think an American author, and it was made into a movie in which they actually spend money, effort, and everything to reach to the city of Paitito, El Dorado. That's what it is, El Dorado. And that, of course, was only one of the reasons also why Francisco Pizarro and the early conquistadors were looking for El Dorado. That's all they had to hear. El Dorado is by Peru and the jungles of Brazil or in the jungles of South America. So, and they're still looking for it. And maybe it's there because the jungles of Brazil are so big and so unexplored that eventually they might find a civilization, maybe not necessarily, covered with gold, but that is the ideas of many writers, of many that would like that place to exist. And even I think the President Theodore Roosevelt in 1909, I think he went to Brazil. Not as well, he wanted to explore, but I'm sure he was excited by the idea of finding El Dorado or Paititi. But I think El Dorado in Quechua or in their language was called Paititi. And so that's where the legend begins.
Ahí nos hablas también sobre los araucanos de Chile, ¿no?
Yeah.
Por favor, detállanos, explícanos, descríbenos cómo era esa población, ¿no? Con las que también, me imagino, se enfrentó Yupanqui, ¿no?
Yeah. Well, reading the chronics and many history books, I find that the Araucanos are basically people of South America, but they are different than the Incas. They were perhaps like the Chancas, they were warriors, true warriors. The river Maule is what divided the Inca Empire from the Chile, where were the Araucanos. In many of the chronicles, they describe them as ferocious warriors, where once they got hold of someone, an enemy, they would grease their poles and actually put right through their anus to come out to their mouth. And that's how many people died. And apparently some people from some conquistadors were treated that way. And I make the supposition that if the conquistadors would have come from the south, they would not have gotten to Peru or the Tahuantinsuyo, because they would have encountered these ferocious warriors just as much as we think would have happened with the Chancas, because they were very ferocious warriors. They were not civilized. It's amazing. The Incas were civilized warriors. They had a political system and they have a strategies of how to win a war. That's why they encountered Francisco Pizarro. So The Chileans or the Araucanos were well known for that. And that was the end of the Tahuantinsuyo, or the Inca Empire, which was more or less at the gates of the Aconcagua volcano, which is one of the highest in South America or in the American continent. The Araucanos not only detained the Incas, they also held the Spaniards for some time, many of whom died impaled with grease point poles that entered through their anus to come out of their mouths. Tupac Yupanque had extended the empire from a volcano to the south, the volcano in the north, Ecuador, the active Chimborazo at 20,561 feet, a distance of 2,500 miles. On the western flank, not even the oceans stopped him, and he ventured to distant islands. To the east, the jungles deterred him from reaching to the Atlantic Ocean. Now an older Tupac, tired of wars, decided to stay in Cusco. Kuntursoul, Mario Yupanque is dead. I have no one in whom I can trust. Not all of us were as you portray us to be. We had good people, and my brother was one of them. Tupac, it would be preposterous of me to think that all of you were the same, but a nation is the representation of all its inhabitants, not only of a few. It is the people who give the soul to a nation. Who knows? If your brother had become the Lord, even as big as he was, perhaps he would have kept unity in the Tahuantinsuyo and not necessarily enlarged the empire. But the way of governing that Pachacutic chose was that of a tyrant, and you are following the same path. The final outcome of this despotism speaks for itself. Otherwise, how can we account for a few foreigners conquering a great nation? They did not subdue the millions of you, but it was the thousands of oppressed vassals who wanted freedom from the Incas. We didn't lose to the Spaniards, we lost to our own people. Man of the future, I must continue with my destiny according to the actions of my subjects. I will plan the administration of this immense empire while I finish the fortress of Sassoaman. Novels, my father left unfinished the head of this Puma city. We should proceed to its completion by moving that boulder that not even 1,000 workers were able to move it. Sapa Inca, that would be impossible. We better give up. Then, in honor of the great architects and my father, leave it where it is. May the future generation, with their advanced technology, move that tired stone. Tupac, to my days, that boulder has not been moved 1 inch, and it will remain there to attest to your greatness. Is it possible that our descendants have not moved that stone yet? Oh, Inca, in our days, we don't even transport adobes for the common good, and many use cardboard for their houses. Kuntursoul, I thought you were trying to find out who we were and why we failed, but you seem to be getting lost in the ruins of our past. We know what the Incas were by the constructions they left, but we don't understand what made us into what we are. Man of the future, to conquer was easy. To retain what we unified was difficult. Tupac Capac, these lands are too extensive to govern. Go and oversee the empire in the north. Tupac left with thousands of warriors and a multitude of people, in essence, a Mi'kmaq expedition. Once in the north, he acted like a tyrant. Many novels consider him more powerful than Tupac. Tupac, the people respect you as you were the Sapa Inca. Why not? man of the future. I am older and more experienced than he is. In this town of Yanayaco, they will do anything for me. No wonder TÚPAC administration is to protect himself from people like you. The Yanayacos may just be a trap set by him to test your loyalty. Kuntursoul, you are like a shaman who can only predict bad omens. Inca, we come from the land of the Yanayacos. They are rebelling against you under the command of Tupac. Tupac left with a great army and he confronted his brother. Tupac, I sent you to oversee the empire. Instead, you rose against me. In a moment of rage, Tupac crushed his skull. Then the Incas began to kill indiscriminately the innocent and the responsible. His wife told him to stop the carnage, reminding him that it could work against him, just like it did for his father. She told him that instead of slaughtering them, they should be used as servants or Yanaconas. In that capacity, they served the Incas until the conquistadors came, who also used them for the same purpose. To these days, the mentality still exists between the Indians and the mestizos, where one is the master and the other the servant, depending on who has the means to humiliate the other, and many of whom relish this symbiotic relationship of master and servant. The Yanacones were a product of an unfortunate situation, and the conquerors abused that concept, making the Indians worse than slaves. In effect, the only ones who were not subservient to anyone were the inhabitants of the rainforest, who guarded their freedom as savagely as the jungle is. They never wanted any alliance with the Incas or the Spaniards, and presently they don't trust the mestizos, who have not changed in their way of thinking in the last 500 years. Kuntursoul, your thoughts are deplorable. Are we responsible for this calamity? Inca, we all are. Indian, mestizos, and the supposed white people. That is why we need to recreate ourselves for our own survival. Man of the future, we're coming to the end of our encounter. I feel that all I have done is to enlarge the empire and not enhance the political essence of my subjects. Perhaps it will happen with my legitimate son if he's to become the next emperor. Mama Ogyo, mother of Tito Inca Yupanque, I must confess that my love for you is more filial than carnal. I know that you have been wary of Chucky Ogyo, who is my concubine. We have a son, Capic Wari, who is older than Tito. Since he was born in Cusco, I may have to leave the empire to him. Husband and brother, you should not confide in Chucky Ogyo. She belongs to another dynasty. The nobles will not allow you to transfer the lordship to Capac Wari. Remember that our union is for the good of the empire, and it has nothing to do with love. You can give all your affections to her, but leave her son out of the succession. Inca, the desire for immortality that some old men and younger women has also affected you. More kingdoms have been lost to this, the most insidious of all passions. What to do, Kuntursoul? I can only show my devotion to Chucky Ogyo by legitimizing our loved child. Inca, your obsession for her will not only bring problems to you, but also to the empire. Chucky Ogyo, the nobles don't want your son to be the next Zapa Inca. There isn't much I can do. Tupac Yupanque, get rid of your detractors and of your wife. You have lost your edge, and that's why you need Capac Wari to help you. Ambivalent as to whom to choose for his successor, Tupac picked the future consort for Tito Kusi Yupanque and the beautiful Kusi Rumai Okyo, and also his legitimate sister, a match for a future king to be. Shamans, I am the preferred concubine of Tupac Yupanque. The nobles are trying to dissuade him from passing the crown to my son. Give me a potion that will end his final days before he places Tito in the throne. Chukiokyo, you are mad. We were not part of your gruesome scheme. Tupac Yupanque will kill all of us if he discovers your plans. Shamans, do not fear for your welfare. I am the mother of the next Sapa Inca to be, and nothing is going to happen to you. Kuntursouls, someone has put a spell on me. I feel my powers are leaving me. What to do? Tupac, the end of our days are not the most pleasant moments of our existence, and one must be resigned for this event. You should put in order the transfer of power, or the empire will fall. Man of the future, I have decided that Tito Kusi Yupanque will be the next Sapa Inca, although I would like to have preferred that Capaguari be the one, but I have rescinded from that idea some time ago. You may have, but you are not even planning his coronation. Tito is too young. My trusted advisor will take care of the empire until he's of age. Perhaps it might happen so, but Chukiokyo will have plans to usurp the lordship of your son after you die. You have traveled too long with us, and now you know what we are capable of doing to ourselves. Inca, that is politics. We're not alone in this endeavor, and we have to let history take its course. Mama Okyo, call all my children and nobles. Inti is calling me. In his last moments, he began to talk to them in a stern voice. Listen and hear me well. I want my successor to be Tito Kusi Yupanque. Do not ever let the seeds of discord alter his destiny. Inca, your descendants also want to hear your last words of wisdom so as not to make the same mistakes of the past. Oh, man of the future, you never got into my soul because I learned very young not to trust anyone. From the depths of my inner being, I say to all of you, do not be like we were and respect each other. Once you can do that, you will have the fortitude to become a great nation. Tupac Yupanque died a painful death. As we will find out later, indeed, this is the land of treachery. So was our past, so is our present, and it behooves us to change that pattern, the only key to our future.